Hi, welcome to another edition number 2 of our Future Farmer Show. Future Farmer Show comes every Sunday on CBC television, on live television at 14 hours. So make sure you tell everybody. In fact, tell somebody now. Go on your phone and get somebody to join. Why? Agriculture and agribusiness is your next big opportunity to prosper in Zambia. It's the biggest job creator for Zambians. So join us as we help in Zambia's development. So today we have a brilliant show. My name is Orishe Jolomi, and I come from the Leadership Farm. The Leadership Farm is that organization set up in Zambia to raise the next generation of leaders for Zambia in particular and Africa in general. And one area I want to see leaders is in agriculture. Why? It is the biggest business in the world. You feed everybody, and feeding people makes money. Okay, so we're from the Leadership Farm, and we work with the beautiful, wonderful people from Agco. Agco is your agriculture company, one of the Fortune 500 companies in the world, and we have them represented in Zambia, and they've been magnanimous enough to work with us, the Leadership Farm, to make sure Zambians have all the skills, all the knowledge to do well in agribusiness. What are we doing today? You should drum roll. Brrr. We're doing crop planning. Why do most people fail in anything in life? Because they fail to plan. When you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So if you want to do well in agriculture, Agco tells us you must sit down first, as the Bible says, to count the cost, to know what you need to plant, to know the ground. You'll hear Sheila tell you that. She says the first thing you plant is your ground. Is your ground good enough? And the ground will tell you what crop you have. I'm not an agronomist, but I'll let you hear from the agronomist. And we'll talk to Sheila, and she's talking about crop planning. And then we'll talk to Felix. Felix, such a wise man when it comes to machinery. He's going to telling us how to prepare. So he's going to be working with Sheila. Sheila is talking about crop, the ground and all. He will talk about how does machine augment that and make us more effective and efficient in planning our cropping. And then we'll come back to Namonga. Namonga is this mighty giant. She tells you about Agco, and she'll be telling you about the facilities Agco has for us. And then we go back to the boss herself. Her name is Kalongo. She's the general manager of Agco. And she'll show us some tips on what to do with your tomato. Tomato is something that we grow so much, but we waste too much of it. And she's going to show us 1 or 2 things about tomato. And then at the end, I'll come back to you, and I'll probably be giving you some things away today. So stay with us, invite somebody, get ready. It's starting now, the Future Farmer Show on CBC. Don't go away, stay with us.
Welcome to the Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm, based in Lusaka, Zambia. The Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm is a modern state-of-the-art facility offering education and training in mechanized sustainable agriculture for farmers in Zambia and Africa. We offer facilities such as lecture rooms, student accommodation, and a state-of-the-art fitted kitchen and restaurant. We also offer facilities for business and social events. We hope you enjoy your experience here at the Future Farm.
Welcome back. We are back, and it's the first segment. We want to look at what the details of crop planning is. So now we're going to go into our classroom. It's going to be a classroom for you. And we're talking to Sheila. Sheila is actually talking to us. Sheila is the agronomist and the farm specialist. She's going to talk about crop planning. So pay attention, take your notebook, get ready to write. And then after Sheila, we have Felix, and he's going to be looking at machines and how to prepare your machines for going on to crop. Okay? Join us as we go, and I'll talk to you after they have finished talking to you. Continue with us.
So here at the Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm, before we put the seed in the ground, we develop a cropping plan. A cropping plan is a program that defines what you are going to grow, where you are going to grow it, how much of it you are going to grow. You demarcate your fields, you know your farm better, so you demarcate 10 hectares, 20 hectares, you decide what you are going to grow, Your resources, look at your resources, your labor, your machinery. You decide what seeds you're going to grow. You go into details of the varieties, the fertilizers, your nutrient management program. So this program will define all of that you have to do into the season. And this program need not to be fixed or permanent. It can be revised, it can be tweaked as the season progresses. But to have a program before the season starts, it's very important because it helps you to manage the stress and the chaos that may arise during the season, but it also helps you to manage a lot of uncertainties. You know, with farming, a lot of things are unpredictable. We are subject to harsh weather conditions, and when you have a plan, at least that serves as a guide for what you need to do during the season. So to have a successful plan, the other thing also is your record keeping. You have to keep records, because when you sit down to brainstorm and define a plan for the season, you need to refer to the previous season. And for you to do that, you need to have records of the previous season. What did you plant where? What were the yields? How is your crop rotation? You know, the rotating of crops, where you grow different crops on one piece of land. That's very important, because as you are farming, you need to improve on your soils, and you know that different crops will interact differently with the soils. So you want to look at your crop rotation. That is important. So the previous records, you need to have that in place for you to define a very effective cropping plan for the next season. So here at the Martin Ricken Ag and Future Farm, the 2021-2022 farming season, our cropping plan is focused on sustainability practices, which is the SDG number 2, if you wish. So we are looking at finding a balance between food production and preserving the environment, because with farming, I think farmers, we have a huge responsibility of taking care of our environment, because we interact with the environment on a larger scale than anybody else because of our operations. So as we carry on with our field operations, food production, we also have to preserve our environment. So our cropping plan for this season at the Martin Ricken Ag and Future Farm, we are focusing on sustainability practices. So we are saying we are growing food, but we should also preserve the environment, because this is the only way we preserve our natural resources. And the big thing is the soil, because that is the huge resource for the farmer. Every seed goes in the soil. Your practices in the field will determine whether you are preserving the environment or you are depleting the environment. So that is very important.
So Tim, this season, the 2021-2022 farming season, our cropping plan will be focused on sustainable practices because we are engaged in farming and we have the responsibility of taking care of our environment. So all the activities that we are going to do in this season, we should have it in mind that we have to be sustainable. Whatever we do, we should consider the environment. So in as much as we want to be profitable, we want to increase our productivity, but let's ensure that as we discuss on our field operations and every other operation that we are going to do, let's just bear in mind that it should address sustainability, because as Agco, as a company as well, we are also focusing on sustainability. As we are finding farmer solutions, we are also ensuring that they are sustainable.
Yeah, I have a question. I think, this year's cropping plan sounds interesting, but which areas are we focusing on sustainability?
Okay, so if we talk about, let's look at our major operations. So it starts with land preparation, because that is the big thing with the soil and what we do with the soil. So let's look at some of the land tillage practices that we are going to have. So we'll look at tillage. Then we'll also look at pest management. So especially with our cereals, I think since 2017 we've had 4 armyworms, and I think we've seen this pest to be very devastating, especially in the maize crop. So everybody who is engaged in maize production, they are worrying of 4 armyworms. So we have to come up with some control measures that will control the pest, but then we should also be mindful of the environment. What are we going to do that will address, it will control the pest, we'll have our yields, but then we should also, whatever method we come up with, it should be environmental friendly. So we should bear that in mind. And I think we can also look at soil improvement. So this is where our crop rotation will come in now. We have to decide where we planted what crop last season, and then we make sure that we are not depleting our nutrients, we are not depleting our soils. So we have to make sure that we also address this. So I think if we look at
this and we look at the size of the fields and the trials that we are going to do, I see most of the practices for sustainability fitting into any one of these. Because if we look at the spraying, be it in our legumes, the soybeans, the maize, they are all coming to this. The tillage, this cuts across all the fields that we're going to do.
So this is an overview of our cropping plan for the 2021-2022 season. But please note that this cropping plan, it addresses all farmer categories. So our trials are in categories. We have trials for small-scale farmers, emerging farmers, and commercial farmers. So if you look at our main three umbrellas of the sustainable practices that we'll be focusing on, if you look at tillage, this cuts across all farmer groups. So if you come on reaping, this will come on to mechanization, but it also sits very well with the subsistence or smallholder, if you like. If you come to the strip till, this is minimum tillage, and even a person who is using a hand hoe, though I'm not encouraging that because there's some precision that you may not achieve with that, the accuracy and land usage, but it's good for you to know that as you are doing that, the future is that you get precise, you get accurate, because we want you to increase productivity on your small piece of land. So if you look at strip till, you find that this also applies to the subsistence farmer who is using a hoe, because they are only digging a hoe where they want to plant. And this is exactly what the strip till does. It opens up a furrow where your planter is only coming to place the seed. And then if you look at zero till, this is for all farmers, small scale farmers, emerging and commercial farmers. This is where you leave the land undisturbed. And like I said, this is a long term, because you want to promote the microbes in the soil. And it's not all crops that, that you need to till the land. Crops like cereals, like legumes, they do very well on zero till. So zero till is for everybody, especially if you have inadequate resources, labor, machinery. So you find that you cut off land preparation. You go in with zero till. So this is where you just plant direct. So some people say direct planting or zero tillage. So this is for all farmers. So if you look at what we are going to be doing in the season, every farmer category is taken care of. We now move on to the stages in crop planning. We have the basics that are engaged in. Every crop planning should have these basics. So first things first, we get to know our soils. Why? Because every seed is coming into the soil. So it's important that you get to know your soil. What type of soil do you have? What is your soil composed of? And this information is going to help you with your nutrient management, because you need to know if you have to add any nutrient, if you don't need to add any nutrient. And when it comes to farming, farmers sometimes think that they always have to add nutrients to the soil, but it's because you don't know what is already in your soil. It's not actually every soil where you have to add the nutrients, because some of the soils, they are well built up, they already have the nutrients. So when you are doing your cropping planning, you understand what soil you have, what is already in your soil, and what you have to add into your soil. And in doing this, you can test get your soils tested. This is a small practice which I think every farmer can do. So basic tools that we use for sampling, you pick samples across the field, different points to give you a representative of the field, and you make a composite sample and you take them for testing. There are various testing centers around the country for soil testing, for you to understand your soil composition. So with me here is a soil auger. So this auger is meant for taking soil samples. If you don't have a soil auger, you can use a spade or a shovel, and you can use a bucket. You can have some clear bags with you. The whole idea is for you to label your samples so that you are able to know which sample is from which point. So you have your auger, you have your clear bag, you can have a marker. This is just to label your different samples, and then you have a bucket. This one is for making a composite sample, where you pick your sample from the one that eventually goes for testing. Okay, so you push it down. This is to about a depth of 15 centimeters. And 15 centimeters, this is where most of the root crops will interact with your soil. So this is the depth that you are interested in knowing, what is within this 15 centimeters depth. So when you pick your sample, you empty this in the bucket. So you can make a pattern within the field, normally a W shape, reason being that you want to represent the entire field. So you can get various samples. Each sample, you put it in a bucket, and then you mix up and pick a sample from there, put it in a clear bag. You label it either A or B, and depending on how many samples you want to pick within the field, then you can gather your samples for testing. In ensuring that your field is well represented when you are taking the samples, you can adapt the common pattern, which is the W shape, which most of the people use. So you walk from one end of the field to the end of the field, then you come back, but coming outwards, like making a triangle. So you go to the end, you come not closer to the starting point, you go again, you keep going in that manner as making a W. So you want to make sure that every part of the field is representative when you take the samples. So after knowing what type of soils you have, the next stage is crop selection. Deciding what crops are you going to grow, and understanding from the very start the usage of your crop. So if you're going to plant cereals, if you're going to plant legumes, if you're going to plant green fertilizer for your soil rotation, you have to make that decision. And when it comes to the crops, getting onto the details of varieties. In choosing the varieties, because you're already understanding what you want to achieve. So is it a long maturing variety? Is it a short maturing variety? Your location as well, where you are located. Remember, for the farmers in Zambia, we have 3 ecological zones, and this is divided according to the amount of rainfall that is received in the season. So you find that one region has low rainfall, the other region has higher rainfall. So when you are choosing your crops, you make sure that the longer maturing varieties will be best suited in an area where you have more rainfall because it has longer growing season, and vice versa. With the short ones, they'll do very well with the areas where there's low rainfall. And the varieties as well, you look at the yields because you already have a target. You set your targets from the onset. So when you look at the varieties, they have different yielding potentials. So depending on what you have to achieve, look at the potential of a variety. The other thing that you need to consider when it comes to choosing your crops, look at the grades as well, especially for the cereals like maize. It's very specific with your planter. You've looked at the machinery that you have. Now, when you come to seed selection, look at the grades. When you go to buy seeds, the seed is graded in different sizes, and if you're not sure, you can carry your planter plate. You go with it to the seed shop where you're buying your seed and just make sure that that is the right plate for the right seed, so that you minimize on running up and down when it's time to plant, and you just ensure that you have the efficiency. So your next stage in crop planning is field operations. You have to understand what field operations you'll be undertaking in the season, and what resources you have available, what resources you have to outsource, what size of fields will actually help you in deciding what resources you might need to outsource, or what resources are already available. So if your field requires mechanization, what spraying are you going to be implementing? Do you have a sprayer? Do you need to hire a sprayer? Do you need to do land preparation? Are you doing zero tillage? So all of this information will help you with your field operations. You need to understand that the operations that you are going to undertake will guide you in understanding what you need to do with your operations. So understanding the operations that you undertake will help you in your planning. Maybe you need to outsource labor. Maybe you need to hire equipment. Just all of that information put down, and it's going to give you an effective plan. At least you have a clear picture of what you need to know with your fields. So the size of your fields, the operations that you need to undertake, all of this will help you to plan, understand what resources are already available, what resources you have to outsource. So the size of the field, if it's 100 hectares, is it mechanized? Is it subsistence? And are you going to be weeding by hand? Are you going to be using herbicides? Understand all of the resources and just get that into your planning, just to make sure that when it's time to implement the operations, you know already the resources that you have at hand.
Under our cropping plan for this farming season 2021-2022, here at Martin Richenhagen, the Future Farm, we are going to look at how mechanization is going to fit into that program. So number one, mechanization is a key product when it comes to farming. You need to mechanize your farms so that you can have high production. So how do we prepare our tractors and implements for this farming season. These tractors have been prepared in such a way that they are ready. We start by cleaning them. After cleaning, you inspect them and ensure that everything is okay. If there's anything that is not there, you replace those parts, and you also ensure that you lubricate them, especially when it comes to implements like reapers and strip till, to mention but a few. So these reapers, these implements need to be made available so that as you start to use them, there are no hiccups in the system. So this tractor that is here is ready to go. I'm also going to talk about resources. Here I'll talk about the operator himself, or operators. So during off-season, after harvesting of all our crops, we make sure that we conduct trainings and refresher courses to our operators so that we make them be available at any given time, and also keep them reminded of what they're supposed to do, and also the jobs or assignments that are there for them. So after conducting the trainings and refresher courses, we expect our operators to be efficient, and there's also high production or high productivity. You know, when you are using an operator who is highly trained, they become qualified in that field in such a way that in the end you have high production, and you also have efficiency. There are also the issues of errors on the field when they're working, they're also minimized. So these operators also become highly trained in such a way that they also help the company to yield profits. Like when it comes to fuel usage, a well-trained operator uses up to between 10 to 12% less fuel per day as opposed to one who is not properly trained. So these are the things that we look at when it comes to training our operators. So this time around we are set to go. The operators are ready. Our tractors and implements are also good to go. So I'll end here and also invite the operator to just do a test run so that you can see how efficient this machine is. Thank you very much. Here comes Felix Bwalia. He is the operator that is coming to operate this machine, trained here at Martin Richard Hagen Training and Learning Center. Thank you. Yeah, so still under cropping plan for this farming season, we have the precision planter that we are going to use. This is going to be our second year at this farm, Martin Richard Hagen, a future farm, that we are going to use this planter. We used it last year, and the results were very good. So this planter, you have to hitch it onto the tractor. When you hitch it to the tractor, then it communicates. You know, the tractor has a computer where you have a display for monitoring what is happening as you are planting. So the trained operator who is planting using this planter will be checking as he is doing his assignment of planting. He's going to be looking on that screen. The screen is there to show him what is obtaining. If he is planting well, it will show him. If there is a blockage in the system, whether of the fertilizer or the seed as he is planting, the computer will pick it, and then immediately the operator will stop and correct that situation. So that is one of the other advantages of using the precision planter. When it comes to depth, you just set it manually at the back there. You set it manually. For the fertilizers, you have those knobs in front. Again, you set them manually. But when it comes to how many seeds that you want to plant per hectare, you just key in on the screen using the tractor when this thing is connected. Thank you very much. Hello, this is the 2-row planter. It is small when you look at it, but it is quite durable, and it's good and perfect when it comes to using it. We've been using it since 2014, and it has given us good results. So again, here what matters is you mount it to the tractor, and you need to have somebody who is trained to do the calibration, and it will give you good results. So it's good to go. Yeah, here we have the strip till. This is one of our 2 implements that we're going to use this farming season. We have looked at the ripper, which breaks the solid pans of our soils, but this one just cracks. It will just open up where you want to plant, and then the planter will just come there and drop the seed there. So it is a strip till. It doesn't shovel over all the soils of your field when you are using this this implement. This is the tractor that we're going to use under small scale and emerging farmer projects that we have at the farm. So we haven't forgotten about our small scale and emerging farmers. We do we have 2 different fields for small scale and for emerging farmers where we do those assignments. And then it has proved that a small scale farmer or an emerging farmer can only do better if they use machines or they mechanize their farms. Because with mechanization, you can't go wrong. Remember, farming is a business. Thank you very much. We expect to see you as we are going to do our planting. We'll talk about calibration of the planters and other information. Thank you very much.
So moving on from our soils, our crop selection, our machines, and the last thing in the stage is labor requirement. Farmers and everybody else engaged in farming activities, you ought to understand your labor requirements. Where is more labor required? Where can you make savings on labor? What field operations are required will also help you to decide what labor is required. Is it heavy on land preparation? Is it heavy on planting? Is it heavy on crop protection? Or do you need it later in the season at harvesting? So basically the main steps in the cropping plan that are going to address all the aspects that are involved in your field operations have been covered. So you've known what soils you have, you've done your crop selection, you've understood your size of fields and the operations that you'll be undertaking, you understand your mechanization, what equipments you have, what equipments you need to source, and then the last thing is the labor. So all in all, with a cropping plan, you want to maximize your operations, you want to increase productivity, you want to increase on your efficiency, you've got your plan in place. So basically, when you hear a cropping plan, it's basically what you want to grow, how much you want to grow, where you're going to grow it, and the offtake, where you're going to take it. So this should already be in your plan before you actually put the seed in your ground. You should already know where your crop will go after harvest.
Welcome to the Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm, based in Lusaka, Zambia. The Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm is a modern state-of-the-art facility offering education and training in mechanized sustainable agriculture for farmers in Zambia and Africa. We offer facilities such as lecture rooms, student accommodation, and a state-of-the-art fitted kitchen and restaurant. We also offer facilities for business and social events. We hope you enjoy your experience here at the Future Farm.
Hi, welcome back. I hope you got the advantages of planning in your cropping. I hope you got the advantage. It was good to listen to Sheila and to Felix, how you need to know your soil, know the seeds, know the inputs, know the type, and know how to prepare your machines for planning. So I hope that's good. By the way, you know you can get this on YouTube. You can get it on Facebook. So you go to God Ministries TV on YouTube, God Ministries Global on Facebook, CBC Television on Facebook, and you have Agco website. So you can go to Agco Zambia, and you have even free training for farming on Agco website. If you register quickly, you can get all the training you need from Agco, what they offer from beginning of crop planning all the way to the end. So please make sure you take advantage of that. Now we want to move forward. We've talked about crop planning and we've looked at how Agco is a partner. There are other things Agco does that I would like you to know about. Now we have somebody coming to talk to us now about Agco and one of the areas you can benefit. So you are probably a business. Apart from being a business, you have events, you have things you want to do. You want to see, in our first edition, you saw Dominic, head of Agco Africa, Managing Director Africa, and we had Kalongo, who was General Manager Zambia, and they were telling us about what a future farm should look like. Therefore, we want Namonga to show us and tell us some of the facilities they have here for us, and you can actually come and visit. So let's listen to Namonga, hear about the future farm and the opportunities you have coming here. It's in Lusaka, it's not in America, it's right here. And Namonga is going to show us that. And then I'll come back to you and Kalongo is going to give us tips on what we can do with our tomato. Don't go away. Listen to Namonga and we're back.
Today, I would like to welcome you to our fully serviced conference center. Come with me and see how beautiful our place looks. This is our conference hall. Like I mentioned earlier on, our conference hall is situated along Great East Road, not far from the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. Our conference hall accommodates about 150 people. It comes with a projector, PA system, free Wi-Fi, fully serviced kitchen, washrooms with an accessible room, and a secure big car park area. For bookings, you can contact us on the number that is showing on the screen. And if you'd like to send us an email, our email address is info_agcofuturefarm@agcocorp.com. Thank you for watching and God bless.
Welcome to the Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm, based in Lusaka, Zambia. The Martin Richard Hagen Future Farm is a modern state-of-the-art facility offering education and training in mechanized sustainable agriculture for farmers in Zambia and Africa. We offer facilities such as lecture rooms, student accommodation, and a state-of-the-art fitted kitchen and restaurant. We also offer facilities for business and social events. We hope you enjoy your experience here at the Future Farm.
Welcome back. So Agco is a facility beyond farming. Agco is a place where you get, I'm sure next program, Namunga is going to tell us much more. So you know you can do your conferencing. You've seen the beautiful place. You know it's on the road, Great East Road. You can come here and inquire. And don't forget also, you still can go to the website, Agco website, Agco Zambia. You can check out everything we've done. Last program, this program, you see it on YouTube and on Facebook. God Ministries TV on YouTube, God Ministries Global on Facebook and CBC Television. And we'll give you more information as we go along. Now, the question is this. Everybody plants tomatoes. What do we do when every tomato fruit ripens at the same time? I'm sure you've seen that about. Everybody's selling tomatoes and tomatoes rotting. Everything is going bad. Well, we thought to give you a tip. So every program, we will give you a tip on what to do with your cropping, with your things. So we don't want waste. We want sustainable living, sustainable farming, sustainable food. One of the SDGs is no hunger. And how do we maximize the use of our things that we don't waste food? We waste too much food as Africans, as Zambians, as individuals. We throw away food, but we can do so much with it. So in the next minutes, you're going to have someone you will say is very accomplished, general manager, but little tips from big people, small people like us can manage tomato better. So one thing we all use, one of the biggest things we use as a nation is tomato. But one of the things we waste the most is tomato as well. So let's find out what can we do with tomato. And then we'll come back and tell you what we have for next week. It's going to be awesome next week, but I'll tell you after Kalongo tells you about tomato. Don't go away.
The Future Farm is really about generating knowledge and knowledge about farming. How can you make knowledge more profitable? How can knowledge work? Not just provide food on your table, but also to be a business. Because we know that farming is really the employment of over 60% of Zambians and actually over 40% of Africans.
The benefits of having mechanization on our farms, quite a number of them. One of them is you have good quality of work on your farm.
So to the existing farmers, what is key with farming and the future of farming is that you need to be knowledgeable.
Hello, my name is Kalongo and I'm here today to talk about something that we all experience in our homes if we are farming or growing vegetables around our homesteads. For example, here at the Future Farm, we do have agribusiness looking at horticulture because we know that horticulture or the growing of vegetables is one of the easiest businesses that you can do because of the quick turnaround. Because vegetables and tomatoes, cabbages, about 8 weeks and you've got your crop for sale. But what happens when you have surplus, too many tomatoes in your field and you don't want to throw them away? Well, that's what I'm here today. So today I'm going to show you what you can do to your tomatoes when you have too many and you don't know what to do with them. So here I have some tomatoes that are left over from the sales that the team and I did last week from our trial plots, and I'm going to just treat them, process them easily in the kitchen. And today we are in the Future Farm kitchen. So you start by cleaning your tomatoes. I've already cleaned them, and you can see I have them here, and I've not done anything to them. I've not chopped them. I've not removed the piece that joins the stalk, and I'm going to throw them in the water in the pot, and I'm going to put them on my gas range to cook, and I boil them for around an hour and an hour and a half until they're cooked right through. So I'm doing that just now. I filled up my pot. I've put in as much water as I can squeeze into it, and I put them to the boil. And I'll just let those boil for about an hour or so. And if the tomatoes are really big, you can even boil them for longer than that. So here I already have some that I previously boiled. So you can see they're cooked right through. They're all soft and soggy, and I just now need to process them. So what I do is I just start by removing the peels, and don't throw away the peels. So I keep these peels, and now I cut out that little piece there because I don't want that floating in my sauce once I've done my sauce. So I remove all the peels, remove the heart, that's what I like to call it, and I put them there. And once I've done that, I just chop them down. And just chop them down nicely, really fine. And make sure you remove all the peels again. Put the peels aside because you're going to have to use them again. So I'm done with my chopping. I'm just going to place those in my little dish. So what I do, I put mine in a blender. But if you don't have a blender, you can just chop them a bit more finer and then just put them back to the boil. But I'm going to blend these ones because I've got a blender here. And I just make sure it's well closed, make sure that it's safe. And if you've got children around, just make sure that they're not playing nearby, and just blend this right through. So you can see it's already nicely blended. And it's all nice and soft and thick, and it's easier for you to mix, and actually you can actually cook with it even just the way it is already. So what I do from here, I take this blended mix, then I put it back into a pot, and I then boil it for another 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And to that, I'm going to add oil. So the fun thing about cooking on TV is that I already have another one I pre-did for you. So you can see this one is now cooked already. I've already mixed it up. I blended it. I cooked it for 30 minutes. I added just a little bit of oil. That's all you add. You don't add anything else, just a little bit of oil. So this is nice and thick and all ready to use. And you can imagine if you have tons and tons of tomatoes, you can do this every day and actually bottle it up. So what I'm going to do now is to just show you a simple way of bottling this up. I brought with me a bottle. I really love these bottles. I get this from the China store. Most of them stock them. You can buy different sizes. And if you don't have these, you can also reuse your bottles. Sometimes I actually wash my used mayonnaise bottles. I wash my used honey jars, and I also use them. Just make sure that you sterilize your container before you put in your product. So like this one, I just steamed it before. I'm using it now to just make sure that it's all safe and clean. And once I've sterilized it, don't put your fingers in there because you don't want any bacteria going in there. So I'm now going to just pack my tomato into here. And I'll just use this spatula to just drain this in there. And this is quite a messy process. So just make sure you have you contain everything in one space. It makes it easier for you to clean afterwards. So I'm just pouring that in there. And what I do, because I like herbs in my tomato, I'm just gonna squeeze in a sprig of rosemary, fresh rosemary. Just put it in there. And if you want, at this stage, you can also add a little layer of olive oil to just make sure that it helps keep really fresh. So I'm gonna seal it and I put it in the freezer. And this can keep for about a month and you can use it for cooking. Or you can use it on your pasta. If you're making pasta at home, it can be a pasta sauce, but it also makes a very good base, tomato base for your pizza. So this is what you can do with your excess tomatoes. And also, I think you could also start a small business, actually bottling up your excess tomatoes and sell these at your flea markets. And you never know, it is agribusiness. This could end up on a supermarket shelf somewhere. So enjoy your tomatoes and hope you can try this recipe at home. Thank you and goodbye.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful time so far. I've learned a lot. I hope you've learned a lot. It's so wonderful to know that you have friends that are here to walk you through your farming adventure. Farming should be something every Zambian should produce. You know, we talk about jobs, creating jobs, bridging the gap. And most of us forget that the real gold is not in the mines. The real gold is in the back of your house, in that ground behind your house. Is in that field that nobody is using and they just dump stuff. Do you know gold can come from there? It's part of planning, isn't it? So when you see that field on the street, you start asking questions, whose field is this? No, you can even hire it. Say, boss, I'll give you a bag of tomatoes or a basket of tomatoes. Can I use your field? And in 90 days, I give you 2 boxes of tomatoes. They will let you do it. You're not taking their land, but it's part of planning, isn't it? So let's plan. Let's plan for food sustainability. Let's plan to feed our families. Let's plan to sell the excess. Let's plan to preserve, like we saw Kalongo teach us about tomato. Each of us can make tomato and sell. You can take it to the shops. And the government is even here to help you to make sure local produce and local products go on the shelves. Why should we import when we can transform our nation with farming? And that's why Agco has partnered with the Leadership Farm to make sure this program every Sunday is here. The first day of the week, we prioritize agriculture, the Future Farmer Show. Don't forget, all the addresses are scrolling down on the screen. Make sure you take the numbers, and beautiful people are ready to answer your calls. Don't forget the website. Go check out the website. Check out all the social media pages and get in touch with us. We want to know you are watching, and we want to attend to your needs. And the most fervent of viewers will soon be getting rewards from us and from Agco. So participate, be a part. Let's form a community and let's make a difference in our nation, feeding the world from Zambia. Okay? Good. Well, we've come to the end of our program for today. It is sad, but good things have to come to an end. And we have something for you next week, what I'll tell you very soon. So every Sunday, 14 hours on CBC television, on live television, you have the Future Farmer Show coming to you every Sunday. Make sure you tell everybody about it and follow us on our social media pages. And we will see you this time, sometime next week, by the grace of God. Now, think about next week. What do you want to talk about? Why should you be here next week? Do you know every family can have food for 1 year with the smallest of space? You'd like to know about that, wouldn't you? So food sustainability for your family for the next. Why should you go and buy Millie Meal and you don't know the price of Millie Meal? Well, you can grow all the Millie Meal you want, all the maize you want for 52 weeks, 365 days, and even sell the excess. Agco is going to tell us how to do it. Not now, next week. You ready? So stay with me next week. I will be here next week, and maybe I won't be wearing white. Mrs. Chiluba said I shouldn't wear white, so I will come not as white. I will come as black, maybe. I don't know, but I'll see you here next week, Sunday. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you. God bless you, bless your family, bless our nation. I'll see you on Sunday on this station. Bye-bye.
The Future Farm is really about generating knowledge and knowledge about farming. How can you make knowledge more profitable? How can knowledge work? Not just provide food on your table, but also to be a business. Because we know that farming is really the employment of over 60% of Zambians and actually over 40% of Africans.
The benefits of having mechanization on our farms, quite a number of them. One of them is you have good quality of work on your farm.
So to the existing farmers, what is key with farming and the future of farming is that you need to be knowledgeable.